dear friends. It is Sunshine, the pink-haired psychic medium here once again with you. And today we are going to be answering the question, how do you become a psychic medium? That's right, my dear friends. I know there are a good portion of you that have that burning question running around in your head. So we're going to be answering that one today. And of course, in order for us to do that, we've got to explore a couple of other questions like how to know if you're already a psychic medium, how to develop psychic mediumship abilities. And then, we're going to talk about this one because let's be real, my dear friends. Are all psychic mediums fake? Right? Because if you want to go down this path, you're also going to have to accept the fact there are a handful that are out there that are fake. I mean, yes, it does happen. It does happen. So let's go ahead and start off. Like, how do you become a psychic medium? And maybe I should approach this first and say, like, why would you even want to become a psychic medium, right? So if we're going to talk about how, you first have to make sure that you're really, really certain of that why. What are you trying to use these psychic mediumship abilities for? Right? Because if you don't understand why you want to become a psychic medium, then, I mean, is it just for parlor tricks? Are you just looking to, impress someone? So maybe your why is because you feel like it's a calling, and that's perfectly fine, and that is okay. That is a completely acceptable reason to want to become a psychic medium. Right. For those folks that aren't certain, right? Like, I don't know, I just feel like it. I just feel like there's a reason that I'm supposed to, I'm being called to do it. Right. At that particular point, your why, I would imagine, sounds a little bit like this. You want to become a psychic medium because you know that those gifts are gifts to help you lead a much more beautiful, amazing, wonderful life. Those gifts are meant to help you on your path to your life's purpose, to doing what it is that you're meant to do in this lifetime, right? So how to become a psychic medium becomes really important. How to strengthen, to develop those skills becomes really important. So the first thing, and I've talked about this before, so I will share a little bit more, is how do you know, right? How do you deep down know, right? How do you know if you're a psychic medium? How do you know? And so I'll tell you, your very first sign is you're watching this video, right? If you have an interest in becoming and exploring and learning more, I will guarantee that you already have those abilities, right? Your signs of psychic abilities starts with just wanting to explore them, looking them up, researching them, right? If you find that you've always been drawn to spiritual readers, that's another sign, right? If you find that when you end up at some kind of like maybe healing fair or holistic fair, you're always kind of wandering over by the psychic mediums. I've seen you, right? You walk by a whole bunch of times, maybe give me a little nod and a smile, but you don't actually stop. Right? That's another sign, right? Because we are often drawn to each other. Those with these gifts often kind of end up gravitating towards each other. We typically have much, much better energy. Not always, but typically do. Right? So when you're drawn to any type of spiritual reader, you're drawn to spiritual shops, metaphysics stores, things of that nature, right? That's a really, really strong sign that you have psychic abilities. Right? Because you're unknowingly already coming towards and gravitating towards that path, that road that's going to lead you down further development. Right? Another thing there too, and I've shared this one before, if you just know things, like if you're that person that's always just like, I told you so. I told you so. Right? That's another reason. That's another way to know that you've got some psychic abilities, right? Physical sensation. This is interesting. I didn't have this. I've got some notes down, but this one's popping up. Physical sensation. So if you find that you physically become uncomfortable around certain situations, certain places, certain conversations, certain topics, events, right? That's also a way to know that you've got your psychic medium and you've got abilities. And then last but not least, and I tell this one, this is the, one of the most powerful ones, in my opinion, is if you identify as an empath, if you already know that your energy is impacted by other people's energies, once again, talking about that physical discomfort, you, my dear, are showing signs of psychic abilities. You may not be registering it as that thus far, right? That might not, you may not wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm an empath. That must mean I'm psychic. But I can guarantee you that you have those psychic abilities if you are recognizing any of those signs. So next, we talk about it. If you've already recognized those, then how do you develop those psychic mediumship abilities? How do you strengthen them? How do you improve on them? How do you practice your psychic abilities? Right? And so the very first thing that I always tell anyone is ask a psychic a question. See how they are doing it. Ask them how they explore the answers. Ask them how they developed their mediumship abilities, how they strengthen their own psychic abilities, right? It is not very common for people to just stumble into these gifts and miraculously know how to leverage and use them. Throughout centuries, people have had to gravitate towards other folks that have already done this in order to learn, as like a mentorship, as an apprenticeship. Right? So ask a psychic how they learned, how they've explored their gifts. And you heard me kind of say this, but you have to practice those psychic abilities. You've got to find a way to do that. Right? And one of my favorite ways to practice practice my own psychic abilities is to practice being a psychic mind reader. Practice like with a friend, just that gift, right? Maybe it's a matter of sitting down with your friend and saying, hey, I want you to picture an image in your mind and I'm going to see if I can get it. I want you to picture a word. I want you to say a word in your mind. I want you to imagine a scent, right? Practice it. And I'm not talking about spending hours. I'm talking about, 5 minutes. Maybe as you're sitting down to order dinner and you're at a restaurant and you're sitting across from your friend or your partner or a loved one or, whomever that may be that isn't going to, get uncomfortable at this request, ask them, say, hey, while we sit here and wait for the food, can we just play this little game? 5-10 minutes, right? Maybe before you guys are falling asleep. And it's not going to feel perfect. You're not going to nail it, right? Just like an individual that steps up to the plate for the first time doesn't hit a home run. Just like the individual that sits down in an orchestra pit doesn't produce and share the most beautiful symphony. Just like a painter that sits down with a palette and a canvas doesn't produce a piece of fine art to be sold and auctioned off for millions on that first one. It takes time. You have to practice those skills and you have to practice those abilities, right? So the way that you develop psychic mediumship abilities is by, once again, talking to other psychic mediums and then practicing your psychic abilities. And as I said, my favorite, practice being a psychic mind reader. Right? So I said I was going to answer this last question before we parted ways for today, because if you're going to go down this path, you're going to have people that are claiming this of you, and you may run into some of these, but are all psychic mediums fake? No. Not all psychic mediums are fake. There are so many well-known psychics and well-known mediums that are out there that it's not possible that people can have spectacular reputations using their gifts and be fake. It's just not possible. Maybe there's some kind of scientific deduction. Maybe somebody wants to go prove that. I don't, right? I don't. So my understanding, my belief, my truth is that if there are well-known psychics and well-known mediums out there, that means that not all psychic mediums are fake, right? And I will tell you this, you may run across some certified mediums, certified psychics, and that's cool. They've got some type of document that said that they did a course or they did a program, and by golly, they're certified, right? That doesn't mean they're fake, but that also does not mean they're real. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is hearing from word of mouth, from reading reviews, reading testimonials, seeing the transformations that folks have had, seeing the guidance that they've received, right? But there are some psychic mediums that are fake out there. There are some of them that are going to be fake. And I'll tell you the number one way you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you're reading this, the number one way that you're going to know a psychic medium is fake is you feel it, right? You feel it. They make you uncomfortable. They make your skin crawl. They make your stomach turn. They make you have disbelief in your mind, right? That's how you're going to know. Now, not going to lie, there are going to be some of them that are very good out there. These are folks that if we were to go down the psychology path, they probably are very practiced in manipulation. They're probably very practiced in a lot of skills that would rate them high on the antisocial personality disorder, right? They're just really good at reading people and manipulating them. It is possible, but that is far and few between. That is far and few between. For every 100 psychic mediums, there's probably one, maybe two, that would be true, absolute fakes, right? And then you're probably going to have around 80% of those other folks as being just good, and then 20% of those folks being absolutely spectacular at it. So, how do you become a psychic medium? Understand your why, explore how your gifts are already showing up, and then practice, right? Talk to some, find out other techniques and practice, right? Because you want to be in that 20%. You don't want to be seen as one that's fake. So, or do you? I doubt it.